Yo, what's up guys, it's NLW here, back again with another video, an action figure setup for Elimination Chamber matches. In this setup, we've got the best of the best in terms of Elimination Chamber moments and matches, but before we get into this setup, let me just remind you to like that video, also comment down below, what is your favourite Elimination Chamber match in history? And with the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view coming up very soon, I thought, why not do this action figure setup and go through my favourite matches and moments. So without further ado, let's get in to this action figure setup, and let's start with what's over here on the left side. At the top of the pod, we have the charismatic enigma, Jeff Hardy. He's had numerous Elimination Chamber matches and moments. I remember the time he swantoned off of the cage, I believe it was No Way Out 2008. I was really rooting for him in that match. And also 2019, where he came off onto the turnbuckle on a swanton. That was certainly fantastic. And now we move down into Edge and Rey Mysterio. Poor Rey Mysterio being catapulted into the side of the cage. They fought in the chamber on numerous occasions, including No Way Out 2009, where Edge lost the WWE title at the start of the night and then ended up winning the world title at the end of the evening. A great night of action, and also Elimination Chamber 2011. And here, being crashed through the pod, speared out of his boots, it is Goldberg and Chris Jericho. I very fondly remember SummerSlam 2003. That was a fantastic Elimination Chamber for the reason that Goldberg just destroyed the competition, and this was absolutely iconic, probably the most brutal moment in Chamber match history when Jericho got speared through the pod. And now we come on to a moment which is a little bit more controversial. December to Dismember, Bobby Lashley winning the ECW Championship. The match itself, not that bad at the first 10 minutes or so, but it gets really bad once CM Punk and RVD are eliminated, and it's a standard formula. But hey, Bobby Lashley, not that bad, maybe won the title a little bit too soon in my opinion. And we move on to a match that also took place in 2006. Kurt Angle, you see, hitting a German suplex onto Kane. This is a reference to New Year's Revolution 2006, where John Cena defended the title, and Edge, of course, winning the WWE Championship by cashing in Money in the Bank. And we move on to another Chris Jericho moment. Poor Chris Jericho getting Samoan bulldozed into the pod by Umaga. That is from the No Way Out 2008 Chamber match, where they had they were fighting for a shot at the WWE Championship. And speaking of the championship and No Way Out 2008, here's a spot from that event. The Undertaker and Batista, the first two and the final two in that world title elimination chamber in No Way Out 2008. It's one of my favourite spots of all time. The reverse tombstone Batista, using the leverage, I should say, getting tongue-tied, using the leverage to hit his own tombstone and win. And here's from New Year's Revolution 2005, Triple H, probably the most prolific Elimination Chamber combatant ever, winning about 4 matches. Here, hitting the pedigree on Randy Orton. This is kind of the start of the Batista Triple H feud, so Batista still helping out Triple H in that one, but not for long. And here's another Randy Orton moment, this from Elimination Chamber 2014. Daniel Bryan at the time was in the Yes Movement, so that kind of storyline where he was trying to get a match at WrestleMania. Absolutely heartbreaking to see him lose that, the Elimination Chamber. However, still a great match. And also another great match from Elimination Chamber 2017, Bray Wyatt winning the WWE Championship for the very first time, hitting a Sister Abigail on AJ Styles to win it. Although it wasn't the best title reign, it was certainly a great match, and it was also the debut of the new and improved, updated Elimination Chamber, which has a lot more room to it. It's certainly got its benefits. I do like some aspects of the old chamber, but the new chamber, I think, has grown on me. I really enjoy the whole structure. And here's a match that took place in that new structure. Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman were the final two. They were fighting for a Universal title match, and this is quite notable for being the only chamber match to date with 7 participants as opposed to the usual 6. So Braun dominated everyone, and this was kind of peak Roman Reigns fan negative reaction. So Roman, of course, the big dog, he has to win. But regardless of that, I still think it was a very talented field of wrestlers, and I enjoyed it if you ignore the booking of Roman Reigns. I think still a very good contest. And we move on to the first ever Elimination Chamber match from Survivor Series 2002, Shawn Michaels winning the title at Madison Square Garden, winning the world title after 4 years of being out of action. He returned, and it was a fantastic moment, and considering they had no prior knowledge of what to do in the Elimination Chamber, they put on a fantastic match, and it was a blueprint, and it was been very difficult to top that initial Elimination Chamber, but people have done it, And I'll tell you one of the matches, which is probably one of my favourite matches inside the Elimination Chamber from 2019, the birth of Kofi Mania, if you will. Kofi Kingston subbing for an injured Ali, and the rest is history. Kofi and Bryan beginning their feud over the WWE Championship. You thought that Kofi Kingston had a chance of winning it, but Bryan ultimately causing upset for Kofi Kingston, and it was kind of a similar position to where Bryan was a few years before that. And we move on to Elimination Chamber 2011, John Cena. This is peak Super Cena as well. Cena won the whole thing and he went on to WrestleMania to face The Miz, but this match is mostly remembered for one of the spots involving John Morrison. John Morrison, he climbed to the top of the Elimination Chamber, and this is the first time that anybody had ever done anything using the actual roof. So he climbed to the top and hit a crossbody from the top onto Sheamus and everyone else in that match. Sheamus actually defended the WWE Championship inside the Elimination Chamber at one point. That was back in 2010. So that's hence why Sheamus is holding the title there. And in the background you can see a highlight from the first ever women's Elimination Chamber match back in 2018. Alexa Bliss coming off of the top of the pod with a twisted Bliss onto Sasha Banks. Alexa Bliss retaining the Raw Women's title in that match. And I have fond memories of that match. It was quite good. They were setting up a feud between Sasha Banks and Bayley, but it didn't really go anywhere. Still though, would like to see more women's Elimination Chamber matches in future. And now we move on to another historic moment, really, for sometimes the wrong reasons. Rob Van Dam on top of the pod, and the reason I say wrong reasons is because he very nearly ended the career of Triple H, hitting a frog splash and breaking the trachea of Triple H. He somehow managed to finish the match. However, RVD really thrives in these kind of matches. He had another Elimination Chamber match at December to Dismember 2006, but we won't talk about that because it wasn't a great match. But what was a great match was Shawn Michaels emerging from underneath the Elimination Chamber to cost The Undertaker the World Heavyweight Championship. He came out from underneath to try and get to The Undertaker, get under his skin, and ensure that he got his retirement match against the Dead Man. There you see him. At the time, Chris Jericho won the world title thanks to Shawn Michaels' interference. Michaels very sneaky, and he finally found a way to get to The Undertaker at WrestleMania. And finally, the final spot I'm going to show you is from last year's Elimination Chamber match. Quite an underrated one in my opinion. For the SmackDown Tag Team titles, The Miz and Morrison retained over a bunch of fantastic tag teams, including Heavy Machinery. And one of the spots that sticks out in that match was Otis running not only through the pod of the Elimination Chamber, but out of the other side and onto the ring floor. It looked absolutely brutal. A great spot. Hopefully we can see more interesting spots like that in the upcoming Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. But again, quite an underrated match. I would go back and watch it. It's got the Usos, Lucha House Party, a bunch of fantastic tag teams. I think SmackDown's tag scene at the time was really on fire. But, I don't know, what do you think? Anyway, that is it for this action figure setup. What are you most looking forward to at the Elimination Chamber next week? Let me know in the comments below. Like the video if you enjoyed this action figure style setup. It really helps the channel. Also, subscribe if you haven't already. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers soon on this channel, so your help would be appreciated. Comment down below what is your favourite pose in this action figure setup. Also, what do you want me to do in future for action figure setups? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you guys later.